In this podcast, we're going to talk about collage UVs and how to set them up. Now, we have just a simple room cube here made up of 4 separate objects. And if we select the objects, you can see where they live in the 0 to 1 space. So right now, everything is kind of off on its own. And we just want to bring all the shells of each object within the 0 to 1 space. So it's just a matter of kind of positioning things and moving them around and getting to kind of line up. Now, another thing that I did do is I have everything scaled proportionally, and that's going to be important for your textile density. So if you can keep everything scaled proportionally, that's kind of one thing that you want to do. So when I actually do go, and you can see right now it's bigger than the 0 to 1 space. So when I try to get it into the 0 to 1 space, I want to scale everything proportionally there, and then we can kind of work for it to fit in there. So right now, we want to maximize the 0 to 1 space. We want to keep all of our shells inside the 0 to 1 space. We don't want any overlapping, and we want all the shells to be facing the correct direction, which is blue. So we have all of those things checked off. And we've now set up a very simple Collage UV set for 4 separate objects here, even though it is one room cube. And this will lay out very nicely when we're doing our textures and our normal maps. Now for something a little bit more complicated here, here's an example of this shelving system. And if we look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 8 separate objects when you include the shelves and the posts. So what we want in the class is no matter how many objects are comprised of the main object, how many parts it has, we want them all to be on one 0 to 1 space. Okay, and here's an example of what that may look like. Now, when we're dealing with furniture and it's got a lot of these little knobs and things like that, make sure that you're kind of giving the real estate to the more important objects. So, for instance, in this object, we have the insides of these holes of the shelves here, which we're not going to see. But at the same point, we still do need to lay them out, so those are going to be like an afterthought. So you're going to want to go ahead and put the main shells and main parts in first, and then bring in the smaller non-critical parts and kind of squeeze them in where you can. But again, we want everything on one 0 to 1 space. Everything is facing the correct direction, which would be blue, and we don't want any overlapping. And that's Collage UVs.